Hello book besties and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a video that I have not done in a long time, but I honestly couldn't be more excited to do this. Like, this is just the perfect time for me. I'm going to be reading for 24 hours timer version. It's currently Saturday morning and I am basically going to split the 24 hours between today and tomorrow. As I said, I'm doing the timer method, so I will be pausing the timer whenever I'm sleeping, eating, or just like doing anything that's not reading basically. I don't want to sit and talk for too long because I do want to get this timer started. It's currently 20 to 10. I had hoped to start this at 9, but here we are. But before I do start, I just want to go through some of the books that are on my radar to read this weekend. This could change because I'm very much just going to take what I'm in the mood to read. But some that I thought about reading. Nora Goes Off Script, that would be a good one to read, I think, because it's just like a short, cute romance. I think it's like 250 pages. So if I'm struggling and I just want like a quicker read, then I think that's going to be a really good one. The Housemaid's Secret by Freida McFadden. I almost always read a Freida McFadden book when I do these videos because I just find them so easy to read and I just fly through them. And people have told me that it is worth carrying on with the Housemaid series, so that is an option. Also Belladonna by Adeline Grace, just because for me that is such like an autumn or winter read, and if I don't read it soon I'm gonna risk not reading it until like the end of this year, so I would maybe like to get around to that one. Then I have a few Kindle Unlimited romantasy books that are on my radar maybe for this weekend. They are all first books in a series. So we have The Ever King, Reign of Shadows and Endings, and Blooms of Darkness. Those are the three that are like calling to me to read this weekend. I don't know why. I just was having a look through Kindle and those were the ones that like stood out to me. So the TBR could definitely change, but that's what it's looking like for now. But the first book that I'm going to read is actually a book that I am, God, I don't know what's happening to my voice. I hope I'm not getting ill. The first book that I am going to read is a book that I am already partway through. I am 80 pages in, and that is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I started this on Thursday night, so I'd quite like to get this finished, and I thought may as well start with it since I'm already reading it. It's about 350 pages long, so hopefully it won't take me too long. Right, I don't think I've got anything else to say, so let's start the timer. So far I have to say I'm enjoying this. It's very similar to her other books. If you weren't aware, this is the second book in her STEMinist series, I think that's what it's called. There are 3 books in the series: The Love Hypothesis, this one, and Love Theoretically, and they all follow women in STEM and their romances. I loved both of the other books in the series, but I just never got around to this one. I've also loved basically every Ali Hazelwood book that I have read. The ones in this series are definitely all very similar, which I think is why I just haven't picked this one up, because I've tried to like space them out so that it doesn't feel repetitive. But having spaced them out, I have to say, I really enjoy them. Like, it's a formula that works for me. In this one we are following Bee, and she is a neuroscientist. She gets the opportunity to lead this amazing neuroengineering project for NASA, and of course she's super excited about this. Like, this could be really great for her career. However, she finds out that the co-lead of this project is a guy called Levi, and she knows Levi from grad school, and he was not very nice to her. He refused to work with her, and so she doesn't really like him, and she's not looking forward to working with him. Obviously, this is a romance book and not real life, and you may therefore be able to guess what the kind of plot of this book is, but I'm gonna leave it there. I will say from very early on, like, you start to understand intentions very quickly and see what B is not seeing. And there's definitely one particular plot point that I'm a bit confused over, like how neither of them seem to be realising something. I don't want to say because I just don't want to give spoilers, even though I'm pretty sure if you read this it's very obvious what I'm getting at. But I am having a really good time with it.
Dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Untruths. I laughed like everyone else in the room, including Levi, who appears to be fairly close to Guy. At least judging by the chummy chat they had over some sports ball games. My loneliness is killing me, and I must go. He said. The ensuing Showing applause is unnecessary, but a tiny bit welcome.
Book 1 is finished with how long on the timer? 19 hours and 42 minutes still left on the timer, so that took me like just over 4 hours. I liked this. One thing that I will say is, this is an unpopular opinion, but I am a big fan of single POV in books, particularly romance or romantasy books. Like, I really like a single POV. This book was single POV. I think most of Ali Hazelwood's books are single POV. I just find that single POV really like immerses me more in a story, and like I am in that character's head and I'm like living the book, if you know what I mean. Whereas when it's dual POV, I feel like an outsider looking in at these two people. And obviously also it makes like a bit of like miscommunication and stuff better in my eyes, because you can see why that's happening because you're only getting that person's perspective. So yeah, anyway, I enjoyed this. It's like classic Ali Hazelwood for me. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. Maybe like if I was gonna be specific, actually, I'd give it like 4.25 stars, but I don't really do that. So is it a 4.5 star or a 4 star? I think it's a 4 star, but I did really like it. Okay, I've just been deciding what book I want to read, and I think I've decided that I'm gonna go for The Ever King, which is the first book in the Everseas series. I'm just in a romantasy mood. I also want to read something on my Kindle. It's not too long, so hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. I think it says it takes like 8.5 hours to read. Here we go. Do I know what this is about at all? No, I've not read the blurb. I've not seen anyone read it or talk about it, but it's just a book that I know of that exists, and I decided I'll give it a go. Okay, I'm just over 10% through The Ever King, and I thought I'll try and give a quick summary of what it's about, but it's not going to be a good summary, okay, because I'm still a bit confused. But basically, in this world, we have sea fae and we have land fae, and our female main character, Livy, she is the heir to the land fae. And when she was a child, she met who was the heir to the sea fae. They had a strange encounter when they were young. It's in the prologue of the book, and because of that they seem to have a bit of a strange bond or pull to each other, let's say. We are now in the future, they're older. Eric is now the Ever King, so he is the king of the sea fae, and Livy is still the heir, like her parents are still alive, and I'm pretty sure her parents or her family are the ones who killed Eric's dad, and he basically wants to get revenge on them. However, when there was a war between these two types of fae, the land fae basically made this chasm, and that is basically a wall in the sea that the sea fae cannot cross. So Eric can't get through that wall. They are all like trapped out of it, and they live like on the other side of that wall in the sea, and I think on islands and things like that. So if that really doesn't make sense, I'm kind of still getting my head around it. I am enjoying it so far. The first chapter was a bit overwhelming because it was one of those first chapters where you're suddenly like introduced to so many people, and I'm like, oh my god, I cannot remember all of these people. I think it's really easy to get overwhelmed in fantasy books like that when you are like introduced to so many things and you're like, oh my god, how am I going to remember? But I think you honestly just have to not deep it too much, like not overthink it. Just keep reading and you will be reminded of things that are important. Don't know why I went on that tangent, but if you are intimidated by fantasy books and if you have tried to start them and you're like overwhelmed, know that it's not just you and that it's normal to feel that way at the start of a new series and fantasy world and stuff. It feels so late and I feel so tired because it's just so dark. It's like 5 to 6 and I think I need to make myself another cup of tea because I'm just lying here reading, very nearly falling asleep. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the book yet. Like, it's okay. It's like parody vibes a little bit. Like the Ever King is his like ships and the crew and stuff, like it's giving kind of pirate vibes, which is just not really my thing. Like, I'm not a pirate girl, but also not hating, and some bits of it are quite intriguing. I am enjoying reading a romantasy though, and I'm kind of thinking, what do I read after this? My mind always goes to what's next. I find it really hard to just like enjoy the moment. I've got 17 hours left, so ideally I want that to get to 12 hours when I go to sleep. So 5 more hours today. That's honestly not bad at all, and it should be like around the time of finishing this book. It's now 10 p.m. I have just under 15 hours left on the timer. Ideally, I wanted to let it get to 12 hours today so I can then just do 12 hours tomorrow. But I'm just gonna see how I go. I kind of want to finish the Ever King. I'm about 60% through, which is page 234 of 397, and it says it's going to take me 3 hours and 15 minutes to finish. I'm just going to read until I really need to go to sleep with the aim of finishing this book, but if I don't finish it, I don't finish it, and that's fine. I'll finish it tomorrow. So yeah, that is the plan. I feel like when I do these, I always underestimate how long 12 hours is in a day, like to just read, and because when you do the timer method you obviously pause whenever you're not reading, and I'm not particularly trying to limit my sleep during this time, it's just really hard to get a full 12 hours in. But anyway, I don't want to pressure it. Like, I'm just trying to see this as like nice dedicated reading time where like I'm just happy that I get to read all weekend basically. In terms of this book, I think I'm struggling a bit with our male main character. Like, he's just not quite doing it for me. And I'm still struggling to feel like the chemistry between them as well. But then sometimes I do feel it. And I'm quite liking some of the characters. So I don't know. I feel like so far it's sitting at like a 3-star. I like it and I would recommend it if you're into like Norse inspired kind of romantasy. But as I said, like that's not really my kind of fantasy that I'm into. Timer is resumed. Okay, it is Sunday morning now. So last night I did manage to finish The Ever King before I went to sleep. I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I feel like I definitely preferred the whole like second half of the book to the first half, but it's still not a complete favourite, and I don't know why. I feel like I just don't feel connected with the characters, but I think I am probably going to continue with the series, at least read the second book and see how I feel and then go from there. It's got a very different vibe to other fantasy books I've read, which I like I like it when something's different, but I'm just not sure yet how I feel about that specific setting and world and characters and things. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give The Ever King 3 stars. And then this morning when I got up, I had just under 12 hours left on the timer. I needed to pick a new book and I decided to go with Lightlark, which had not really been on my radar to read this weekend, but when I was just looking through my physical TBR, I was just drawn to this one. Like, I just wanted to read it. So I did, I picked it up. I'm up to page 67 and we have 10.5 hours left on the timer at the moment. I've seen so many people try to describe this book and I feel like when you start talking it just gets all muddled and doesn't make sense, but I'm gonna try my best to keep it simple. Every 100 years the island of Lightlark appears for 100 days to host a game. The rulers of the 6 different realms are invited to fight in that game every time it occurs, with the chance to break the curse that is on their realm. So each of the 6 realms has a curse and they all want to break it. However, for that to happen, one of the rulers has to die. So we specifically are following Isla. She is our female main character and she is the leader of the Wildling realm. Their curse is that they have to eat human hearts to survive, and also anybody that they fall in love with, they will end up killing. All of the other realms have their own curses and also their own powers. We find out pretty early on that Isla has some secrets that she is hiding, and we start to find out what those are. And it's also pretty clear that the leaders also have their own secrets. So it's kind of hard to trust anybody. I know that there's a love triangle in this, and that is between her and 2 of the other leaders of their realms. I say it all the time, but I do love a love triangle, so I'm excited to get more into that. I'm actually really enjoying this so far. I've heard very mixed things about it, but to be honest, a lot of the negative stuff that I've heard about it is that the love triangle is really annoying and keeps going like back and forth, and it just needs to be resolved. As someone who loves love triangles, I'm interested to see whether I find the same, but with that aside, like, we've not really had any romance yet. I'm enjoying the setting and the plot. I really enjoy a fantasy game setting when it's done well, and I'm liking the vibes of this one so far. I really like Grimm, and I feel like maybe that's not a good idea. Like, maybe I'm gonna regret getting attached to him. I thought this was gonna be really romance heavy, but so far it's not. I'm only like just over 100 pages in, but I feel like we're very much focusing on the competition and the characters at the moment, which I'm enjoying. I like it when it's not just solely romance, like focus really heavy on the romance. I think it makes it better. I way prefer a slow burn to insta love, so I don't like romance so early on. So I'm glad that we've got to 100 pages and there's no romance. 250 pages in now, and I have to say, I'm having a great time. This is so fun. Like, I'm loving this. I'm having a great time. Also, we've just got to the ball, and balls in fantasy books, immaculate vibes. Esther's come over to join the readathon, starting Iron Flame. Yeah. I'm on page 280 or 282, so I've got like 120 pages left. I'm tired. I finished Lightlark. I really liked this. Like, I just had a great time reading it. It was well paced. I liked the reveals and twists and stuff. Really enjoyed the romances, like the love triangle, and I'm actually glad to know that it's not all resolved in this book. Like, it kind of feels like the love triangle is resolved in this book, but knowing that it's not, because people complain about it going into the other books, I'm kind of glad, because it feels like there's more there. Like, there's more that we need to dive into, and I don't think that this should be like a happy ever after for two of our characters. Obviously I can't judge the rest of the series until I've read it, and I'm pretty sure it's not even complete yet, is it? Is it going to be a 4-book series maybe? And the first 3 are out? But yeah, I really liked it, and hopefully I will pick up the second one before too long, but not yet. I think in terms of a rating, I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. It definitely wasn't quite 5 stars, but it was really close. I might give it 5 stars on Goodreads, but it's technically a 4.5 stars. It's definitely closer to a 5 than a 4. Maybe 4.75 if I was going to be really specific. In terms of the timer, I still have 4 hours left, but it's 7:30 now, and I really need to make some dinner and eat some dinner and stuff, so I'm going to have a little break and then start reading again a bit later. And if this goes into tomorrow, it goes into tomorrow. Like, I'm not going to force myself to stay up really late on a Sunday. But the book I'm going to go for is Nora Goes Off Script, just because it's quite short, so I don't know if I will be able to finish it in 4 hours, but I should be able to get through it quite quickly, and I'm excited to read this one. I really enjoyed summer romance, and I think that the premise of this one sounds really interesting. She's a Romance Channel screenwriter, and one of her scripts gets picked up for a film, I think, and a famous actor, I think, like moves into her house and she has romance with him. I think that's like what I understand of this plot, and it just sounds good, and I've heard really good things about it. I liked her writing in the other one, and I like the ages and maturity of the characters in her books. Well, in Summer Romance, that's the only one I've read. But yeah, so I'm excited to read this one, but as I said, gonna have a little break and then carry on reading a bit later. Excuse this weird angle, I could not be bothered to get my proper tripod out today. Yesterday I ended up finishing the timer on 2 hours and 45 minutes. When I was eating dinner, I ended up watching Molly May's new show, and ended up just watching 2 episodes of it, and then went to bed and was just a bit tired. But I did read about 80 pages of Nora Goes Off Script. I'm really enjoying this. I'm pretty sure I already said what the plot is, but basically our female main character, Nora, her husband left her and her 2 children. She's a screenwriter and one of her scripts has been picked up for a film, and the film crew want to come to her house to do some filming, so they do that. And she meets the actor who is playing the male main character, and he's a very famous actor, and he seems to be going through some struggles, and once the filming is wrapped, they're only there for a few days, he basically asks if he can stay a bit longer, and she agrees, and yeah, that's basically where we are. He's staying in like it's a tea house, it's like an outhouse. I was a little surprised because I wasn't expecting him to be so imperfect, I guess. Like, he has his own struggles, he sometimes comes across a bit rude, but yeah, he's not like this perfect knight in shining armour come to make her life better and be that perfect guy. He's not like that. He needs to get away from his life, and he's a little bit strange. He's very removed from normal day-to-day life, and it's quite entertaining, like their interactions, his interactions with the children, him experiencing everyday things like going to the supermarket. I don't know, I'm just enjoying it, and there's not really been any romance so far, but I'm liking the pacing of it. I think it's fun. I think it's got a really good balance between being funny and also kind of emotional, like pulls on your heartstrings a little bit. I love Annabelle's writing. There's just something so easy and simple about the way that she writes, but in a way that is more impactful, if that makes sense. So yeah, my plan is to basically get this book finished today. I'm still using the timer, but basically I'm just going to read until I finish this book. I'm sorry, but I love Leo. Okay, so I finished Nora Goes Off Script, and this is a 5-star book for me. I just absolutely loved it. This for me was like a pretty much perfect romance book. It was fun, it was cute, but it also had a little bit of like pain and angst in it. And I have to say that the conflict and the conflict resolution in this book I just thought was done really well and just felt really real. There are children in this book as well. Our main character has 2 children, and I felt like, again, they really added to the story, which I loved. Like, I like it when children add something to the book rather than them just being there. I don't know, I just absolutely loved it, and I literally recommend so much. I think the fact also that it's only 250 pages just meant that every word felt important. Like, there weren't any filler bits where I was like, okay, come on, let's move on, what's happening? It just felt so polished and complete, and I was just eating up every word. Like, I just love this. 5 stars. So that is actually my first 5-star book of the year. I'm still kind of thinking about Light Larkin, whether that actually is a 5-star book for me. I think my gripe is it wasn't perfect, but at the same time, I'm not looking for perfection in my 5-star books. I'm looking for books that I just absolutely loved, didn't want to put down, and was really like engaged with, and that I just loved. So maybe Light Lark will be a 5-star. I'm just going to sit on it and wait till the end of the month when I do my wrap up and decide on a solid rating then. But Nora Goes Off Script, she's a 5-star. So that concludes the 24 hours of reading. I've read 4 books, and to be honest, I enjoyed all of them, and I just had a great weekend just like prioritising reading. It was great. I definitely need to do it more often. Sometimes I just struggle to prioritise reading and shut everything else out, and actually when I do that and I just let myself be in a reading bubble, I find that I enjoy the books so much more, rather than like reading, 100 pages of it every day. And obviously sometimes that's normal, like in the week I obviously can't read it for 24 hours, unfortunately. Wish that I could. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you think of them, or if you have any recommendations for me. Please don't forget to leave a comment, like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to see you in my next video. Bye!